Hello and welcome to the Phoenix 5 Info Show. I'm your host, Lieutenant Vince Lewis, coming to you once again from the beautiful police headquarters in downtown Phoenix, joined again, as always, by my co-host, PIO Sergeant Rob Scherer. Welcome back.
Thanks, boss. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So, as always, we got a very, very special show. I want to introduce my guest, but before I do that, I want to ask you out there, does this appeal to you? Does it appeal to you to maybe have the opportunity to make a living interviewing victims and witnesses, conducting maybe background checks on people, assisting with search warrants, with police search warrants and police activities and investigations, handling, categorizing, impounding evidence, studying surveillance video for elements of criminal activity and potential witnesses and key things in investigations? Does that sound exciting to you? And you won't even have to carry a gun or go out and handle suspects or any of that, because it's all taken care of. You would become a key component of investigations if you apply for this position called Police Civilian Investigator. And I want to introduce one such Police Civilian Investigator with a plethora, myriad background in law enforcement, bringing a ton of experience to the job after having served and now serving us, serving you, the community. I want to introduce my special guest, Police Civilian Investigator, Ron Beatty. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
How'd you like that intro?
It was a good intro.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
You felt like I need to get up and bow a little bit.
So we've got a ton of experience sitting around this table right now, wanting to do the same eventual goal, and that's to serve our community, to do right by them, to give back, to put bad guys in jail, to help victims and witnesses bring some justice and safety to their community. Ron, what got you back into this role in police work after, and tell us a little bit about where you came from.
So I'm 23 years of law enforcement out of the Midwest. Moved down to the great state of Arizona for the sun, and of course, kids want to go to school down here, so we moved down here. I retired fairly young at only 48, so I thought, I'll find some other things to do. I was working as an instructor for the state, and I have friends who are Phoenix police officers, and one day we were together, and they said, hey, there's a position coming up that they're going to start hiring for. We think you'd be great. I'm like, I'm good where I am. I'm happy. I think I'm making a difference. And then I read of course, they gave me the job description one day, and I'm like, it's always easier to apply for something when you're happy with where you are. Right. And so I applied. I thought, hey, this looks interesting. I started having those feelings of, do I want to put the uniform back on? I went and did a ride-along with the city I live in. I was like, yeah, of course my family's like, no, you're done, and got through the process. And I had to make that decision as to whether or not I was going to say yes. And the commander of property crimes made a really good presentation to me, and I said, you know what, I want to go back. I want to do this, and so far, I think it's one of the best decisions I made.
That's terrific, and we're happy to have you, right?
Yeah, congratulations on getting this spot. Yeah, you're the epitome of kind of that example of everything we want, because you come in with that experience to be able to do a lot of those tests that Lieutenant was mentioning right out of the chute. Let's talk about your experience. How long have you been doing it? You mentioned you're in property crimes. Are these some of the things that Lieutenant talked about that you do on a regular basis? What's your job function? What do you use your expertise that you're bringing to the table to benefit those cases in your bureau?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, realistically, I'm not carrying a gun anymore, and I'm not putting handcuffs on somebody. Other than that, I'm it when it comes to the investigation part. Now, the experience that I have in law enforcement helps. There were not some, but a good amount of differences between the Midwest where I was when it comes to subpoenas and warrants and that. So I had a learning curve, obviously with the department too, learning all the in and outs of the Phoenix Police Department, which I got to say, it's a pleasure to be here. If anybody hears any bad rumors, come talk to me. Yeah. I'll tell you. I'm from an outsider looking in, and it's really good.
And our weather's better too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will get an investigation in property crimes. We're doing anything like criminal damage, trespassing, burglaries. We've recently, because of the disbandment of the auto theft detail, we're doing auto theft. And so basically you get the information from patrol after they do their first initial on scene, read through that, and then you start your investigation. You do reach out to the victims, talk to the victims. You may need to get video, and sometimes I do go down in person to get the video. I find a lot of apartment buildings will give you, hey, we got great video. This is the crime right here, and you're like, great. What happened before the crime and after the crime? This is what I need. So I like to go down there and go, before you send this off, let me look and see. And so, plus they're learning, because sometimes, unfortunately, some of these places have reoccurrences when it comes to the crime, but now they know what to look for. I've been able to assist on search warrants, to be able to return some property. And, and I said in my interview when I was getting hired, what is the one thing you want to be able to do? And obviously we all got into law enforcement to make a difference. And sometimes you think throughout your career, man, did I really make a difference, or am I just handling things? And I think I said, if my idea is, let's say I get a case where a kid's bicycle was stolen. And the family may not really trust law enforcement or anything else because of whatever reason. But I'm going to put my effort in like I do with anybody. And let's say I get that bicycle back, okay? It meant something to that kid. I get it back. Let's turn around 20 years later. And all of a sudden, maybe he's standing on a stage, getting a Phoenix PD badge pinned on him because of the experience he had with us and stuff like that. Those are kind of differences I hope to make, not just getting the property back, but maybe a lifelong difference.
That's powerful. So, I mean, really, you put your heart into it. So we're talking with Ron Beatty, who's police civilian investigator. Before we started recording, you two were having some little sidebar conversations because you're both investigators. You're both, Rob, you did some time with our Federal Robbery Task Force and other investigations. Where did you guys connect? Where do you see the police civilian investigator blending well with our sworn detectives?
Well, we talked before, and one of my questions was how are you being received? What are their thoughts? The property crimes unit that you work for, all the way up to the commander. I know he made a presentation that sold you to it, but what's your experience within the unit of sworn detectives within the property crimes and Phoenix PD for that matter?
That was a concern coming in, because I knew, okay, there's detectives that are now getting put back on the street and patrol, and being from law enforcement, I'm like, ooh, I know how that environment can be. It was nothing but the opposite of that. I came in, everybody's was really good. Once you explain the kind of experience you have and stuff like that, and what you can add, it's been open arms. I feel like I'm just treated like I've been at this department for 20 years myself, which is a good feeling coming in and stuff like that. So anytime I have a question, I get the answer right away. And if I don't, then nobody knows the answer, we go find it together and figure it out. All the way up from my sergeant to the lieutenant to the commander, they're always there at the drop of a hat. If I can bring in some things, because I was a computer crime investigator throughout my career and did some other stuff. So there's some programs and software I'm like, hey, what about this? Can we do this? That's always been well received. The training aspect too. I was one of those, like, I like to go to training. I actually will sit in the front row, when, not sit in the back, because I wanted to be there. And I've come across stuff and I said, hey, can I go? And they're like, absolutely. We want you to go get this and come back. So it's not just getting a paycheck and doing the investigation job, but Phoenix PD is willing to send you to training to get even better at what you do. You can't top that. That's one of the best pluses.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was 15 years in investigations of my 21 or whatever, and it's my passion. I miss it every day. I love this job, but I miss it every day. You getting back into it, how was that for you? Like, you left, how long did you leave when you retired and then ended up coming back into the fold?
So it's going to be about 4.5 years I was out. So you start to wonder.
Yeah, a good chunk of time. But how was that feeling getting back into it? Like, I know the feeling of getting that case and going, okay, this one I have. This one I'm going to go get.
I'll admit, when I drove into the parking lot, I had those butterflies.
Yeah.
Kind of almost the same as the first day at academy class. Like, oh man, I remember this so long ago. Get in there and you're kind of eyes wide open. Some things are normal. I could say the atmosphere that I was so used to for 23 years, that same atmosphere was there. So that was a little bit calming for me. I'm like, okay, I'm used to this. I'm used to what's going on, hearing a radio in the background, knowing how people are talking about current investigations, detectives talking about elements of a crime. Do they have this? What can we submit to a prosecutor? All that was, okay, this is good. I know where I am. Even my wife, when I got home, she's like, you look happy. I said, you know what, I am happy. I know it's only day 2, but I'm good to go.
That's awesome. So we've got civilian investigators like Ron. You're in the Property Crimes Bureau. We have them in the Violent Crimes Bureau. We have them in the Family Investigations Bureau. We have them in the Drug Enforcement Bureau. They're serving different jobs across the department. Do you get much interaction with the other civilian investigators? I know, Ron, you've got a background in law enforcement, and initially the wave was, let's see if we can get these detectives to come back and continue to serve in a retirement capacity, but still in a very involved capacity, just minus the handcuffs and gun. But do you get much chance to interact with the other civilian investigators in their roles, in their other bureaus where they serve?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes the crime, it's not just the property crime. There's other crimes involved in this incident. So you will have to reach out to, the Family Bureau and even violent crime sometimes. Get with those detectives or the civilians that are there, talk to them, see what's going on, and we go ahead and trade info and try to get that case submitted as soon as possible.
And you bring a lot of experience with you, but it's not necessarily, it's preferred, but it's not a requirement that you were a cop in another life. A background in criminal justice administrations preferred, some experience in an investigative capacity is preferred. But Ron, besides all that, we're talking about heart, we're talking about drive. What does somebody need to be successful in your position? What do they need to bring with them?
So you hit it right there, heart. You have to want to be able to go out and change something every day. It's something I learned midway through my career. I had a good mentor, a lieutenant, who just, for whatever reason, took me under his wing, started giving me pointers, pushed me to want to be a sergeant, which I never really had aspiration at that point. And I kind of took his thing where he says, I wake up every day and I try to do something that will change or make a difference today. It could be picking up a piece of trash off the ground. It could be just giving a quick smile to somebody walking down the street. You don't know if that smile, that's what that person needed. Obviously on the job, it's making a difference with helping a victim of a crime and things like that. But he goes, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be small. So when I come into it, that's what I do every day. What can I make a difference today? And I think anybody who wants this job, first of all, to apply and to see all the things you have, you kind of want to make a difference, and you have to be tenacious. You come up against a wall, you have to figure out, how am I going to get around this wall? And so if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to ask for help, your experience come from everywhere. I work with another, in my squad, another civilian investigator that came from probation, and her experiences and stuff there help us all the time, because we know, we can go to her. And she does the same for us. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, Phoenix Police is hiring police civilian investigators like Ron Beatty. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. The hiring pay ranges from $26.18 to $38.68 hourly. Check out phoenix.gov/jobs and search police civilian investigator. Once again, we're hiring and we're looking for more help across the board throughout the department. If that's your drive, if that's your heart, you just want to do all that without having to do the gun and handcuff thing, we welcome your experience. Give us a shot. I want to thank my co-host Rob Scherer for joining us. Thank the crew for producing it. And remember, you can help fight crime in your community by sending tips to Silent Witness. Visit silentwitness.org or call 480-WITNESS. Join us on all social media platforms across the board. We're out there at Phoenix Police. And until next time, remember, we're all in this together.